Are you aware of that when Caleb goes 1 tonight, you set a record? Are you aware of that fact?
Yeah, but I don't set a record. Yeah, it's good. It's obviously good players.
But
they
you're
do.
part.
They
how about
do.
this? You're part of having set a record.
Okay.
Yeah. That Baker and Kyler and now Caleb Williams. Is there a through line for anything with these three guys? Because in the NFL level, everybody's trying to crack a code to see how we can evaluate and translate. So, is there a through line?
There is. One thing that I've touched on with some of the guys that I think is really important is like the way that they all came into our programs at the time. You know, Baker chose to come to OU when, you know, I wasn't there at the time, but a really good quarterback, Trevor Knight, you know, he had just beaten Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. He was kind of the guy, and Baker really didn't care about that situation. He believed in himself, went to the place he wanted to go, and didn't worry about the competition. Kyler, in my mind, did the same thing when he chose to come to us, even though Baker was on the roster. You know, and then Caleb came into a situation at OU where we had Spencer Rattler, who had played very well for us the year before. And these are situations where in recruiting, quarterbacks are aware of who else is on the roster and the situation that they put themselves in. And you come across guys that are like really concerned about it. Like it's a major deal to them and where do they fit in. And then you get some like these three that they don't care who else is on the roster. And I think I've just always put a lot of stock into that because I think the inner belief you have in yourself is so critical to this position because it can be a very lonely position. And you just catch kind of like those little data points, like you put them in those situations and you feel something a little bit different than maybe the average guy. Interesting. And Caleb's makeup that people are referring to and just who he is and marches to his own beat, or, you know, is this the first NIL quarterback to be drafted in the NFL? What can you tell me about Caleb Williams that maybe some people you think need to know on this front here? Well, I think he's incredibly comfortable in his own skin, which again I think goes back to that inner belief and that true inner confidence that you have. I've always been impressed, and I thought he had this at a young age when we started recruiting him in high school. He can walk into like any situation, any room, the different demographics, different age. He knows them, he doesn't know them, and he can walk in and like be totally present and engaging and can really kind of transform himself to whatever room it is. And he's very extremely comfortable, can communicate well with anyone. And I think that's important. He obviously made the transition well at OU. He made the transition happen, look almost seamless at USC. I think it bodes well for him going into, if it is Chicago, that he's going to be able to handle that well. I appreciate you saying if.
I noticed that too.
No, I never counted.
Pick up on that?
Never counted it till it's done. When Baker Mayfield got taken, he didn't go to the draft. He did it at his house. So we get there, and I have not talked to the Browns any. And I'm talking any.
They didn't reach out to you?
Zero. And and so when we got there, I pulled Baker off to the side. It was about 30 minutes before the draft started, and I said, "Hey, how you feeling? You know, and this, that." He said, "I think they might take me number one, the Browns." And I was like, "Oh, that's great," and all that. And deep down, I'm like, there is not a chance in hell they're taking, because I haven't talked to these. I've talked to 20 other franchises about this guy. Nothing. So I'm saying, like, no way that's going to happen. And then he gets a call. So you never know.
The Browns never tire kicked you about Baker Mayfield.
We didn't have one conversation.
I've never heard that.
Yeah. Me neither. Yeah, I'm not saying they didn't do their due diligence and all, but I mean, you would think the guy that coached him for a few years, there would have been a conversation at some point, but they obviously believed enough in him that they didn't need to hear from me.
Provide an insight or two. So, and again, the insight on Caleb, I think, is crucial prior to tonight, and then obviously prologue to what's to come for him in Chicago. I'll say it definitively, but because I mean, even today, all the prospects who are going to be in the green room were brought together by the NFL. They're being shepherded around town.
Sure.
And all the players were dressed in the same zip-up, I guess, league-issued tracksuit or sweatsuit or whatever. And Caleb was dressed in his own clothes. And somebody's like, oh, That's Caleb just doing his own thing because that's him, and not in a positive way. It was just like he's all about himself, and there is an I and two I's in Williams or whatever. So I placed that in front of you to, give us some insight on him and who he is on that front as well.
I've seen him as a member of his high school team, and obviously two different teams in college, and he was very present with the team. I mean, the small things, the big things. I mean, here's a guy that would take, NIL opportunities that a lot of people gobble up for themselves, and he would, do things for the linemen, do things for the entire team. He was extremely team conscious. So, I don't know if these couple of days here in Detroit, is truly a team, right? They're gathering some guys together. I wouldn't read too much into that, in my opinion. My experience with the guy has been he's very present with his teammates and very much just wants to be a part of a team.
Yeah, he turned the lights out at the combine. Basically, he stayed on the field because some of his teammates were out there working out, and then he shook the hands of everybody that was working the event on the field.
That's him.
So I saw that with my own two eyes.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.